On Valnis 4, the sky had turned dark with enemy ships. Elder Sora stood at the window of the colony's central building, watching the Bracken fleet circle above like hungry birds. Sora was old, even by Luri standards. The soft blue glow of her skin had faded over the years, and her thin limbs trembled when she walked. But her mind was still sharp, and her heart still burned with love for her people. 12,000 Luri lived in this colony. They had come here to build a peaceful life, far from the busy core worlds. They had built gardens and libraries. They had raised children and created music. They had never imagined that war would find them, but war had come anyway. The viewscreen flickered. A face appeared. It was covered in dark green scales with yellow eyes that held no warmth. Warlord Krath of the Bracken Empire smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Little Luri," he said, "your time is over. Surrender now, and I will make your deaths quick. Resist, and I will make them slow." Sora forced herself to speak. "We have done nothing to you. We are peaceful. We have no weapons." Krath laughed. The sound was ugly. "That is why you will fall. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is the law of the universe. Your coalition knows this. That is why they are not coming to save you." The screen went dark. Sora turned to her advisors. Their glowing skin had dimmed with fear. Some of them were crying, their tears leaving trails of light on their cheeks. "There must be someone," one of them whispered. "Someone who will help us." Sora thought of the old stories. Tales passed down through generations. Stories of beings from impossible worlds, creatures that could survive anything. Monsters that felt no fear, the Deathworlders. She walked to the communication panel and began to broadcast. Not on coalition channels. On every channel, open, desperate, a prayer thrown into the void. Far away. Aboard the horizon, Dr. Yun Mina intercepted signals from nearby coalition stations. She listened with growing disgust. "The Tandoori station says they hope the situation resolves peacefully," she reported. "The Vel Consortium expresses sympathy but cannot risk involvement. The Coalition Council is scheduling a meeting to discuss possible responses. The meeting is in 3 weeks." Sergeant Troy Tay slammed his fist against the wall. The metal bent slightly under his strength. 3 weeks, he growled. "The Luri will be dead in 3 days. Captain Jun kept his face calm, but inside he felt the same anger. The galaxy was full of species that talked about peace and justice. But when the time came to act, they looked away. They made excuses. They protected themselves. Only the monsters were willing to fight. Hannah looked up from her station. "Captain, we have responses to our message. The Iron Wake under Captain Lee Seung is changing course to meet us. The Dawn Hammer under Commander Baek Yoon is also coming." June felt a warmth in his chest. 2 more ships. 2 more crews willing to risk everything for strangers they had never met. 3 ships against 15, Mena said quietly. "The odds are not good." "The odds are never good," June replied. "We fight anyway." In the cargo bay, Tay briefed his ground team. 30 soldiers, each one a survivor of Earth's deadly environments. They had trained in jungles full of predators, in deserts that boiled during the day and froze at night. In mountains where the air was too thin to breathe, they were ready for anything. But this mission was different. "The Luri are fragile," Tay explained. "Their bones are hollow. A fall that would bruise us would shatter them. Our normal speaking voices cause them pain. Our footsteps feel like earthquakes to them. We must be careful, gentle. We are there to protect them, not terrify them." A young soldier named No Yuri raised her hand. She was small for a human, but fast and fierce. "Sergeant," she said, "if we have to choose between being gentle and keeping them alive, what do we do?" Tay looked at her. "We keep them alive, always, even if they fear us. Even if they hate us. We keep them alive." The soldiers nodded. They understood. Lieutenant Hannah designed a new formation for ground operations. Humans would form circles around groups of Luri civilians. Their bodies would become walls. Their flesh would become shields. "If the Bracken attack," she explained, "we take the hits. Not them, we can survive what they cannot. Mina studied Luri biology. She learned their stress responses, their fragile organs, their sensitive hearing. She prepared medical supplies that would work for both species. They are like glass sculptures, she told June. Beautiful. Delicate, we must handle them like treasures. June nodded. We will. The 3 human ships flew through hyperspace, racing toward Velnus 4. Behind them, the Coalition watched and did nothing. Ahead, 15 Bracken warships waited. In his quarters, June allowed himself one moment of doubt. One moment to feel the weight of what they were doing. 3 small ships, 90 humans in total, against an empire of warriors. But then he thought of the Luri children. He thought of Elder Sora's trembling voice. He thought of the message that had echoed through the void. Please, we have children here, please. He closed his eyes and made a silent promise. We are coming. Hold on, we are coming. The Deathworlders did not know if they would survive. They did not know if they could win. But they knew one thing with absolute certainty: they would not let the helpless die alone. The Bracken fleet hung in orbit like a wall of death. 15 warships, each one bristling with weapons. Below them, the Luri colony waited for the end. Warlord Krath sat on his command throne, already bored. This conquest would be too easy. The Luri had no fighters, no weapons, no hope. His soldiers were preparing landing craft. Within hours, the colony would belong to him. Then space itself seemed to tear open. 3 ships burst out of hyperspace in perfect formation. They were small compared to the Bracken vessels. Their hulls were scarred from old battles. Their engines burned like angry stars. Human ships. Krath leaned forward, curious. What is this? His communications officer looked confused. Warlord, they are broadcasting on an open channel. They want to speak with you. Let me hear these fools. Captain Park June's voice filled the Bracken bridge. It was calm, steady, without fear. Bracken fleet, this is the GSV Horizon. The Luri colony on Velnus 4 is now under human protection. You will withdraw immediately. This is not a request. Silence. Then Krath began to laugh. It started low and grew into a roar. His officers joined him, their hissing laughter echoing through the ship. 3 ships? Krath finally managed to say. You bring 3 tiny ships against my fleet, and you dare to threaten me? I am not threatening you, June replied. I am telling you what will happen if you stay. Leave now, and you live. Stay, and we will destroy you. Krath's laughter died. His yellow eyes narrowed. Kill them. 4 Bracken warships broke formation and moved toward the human vessels. Their weapons powered up. Their targeting systems locked on. On the horizon, Lieutenant Hannah's fingers danced across her controls. 4 ships incoming. Weapons hot. All ships, attack pattern Delta, June ordered. Show them what Deathworlders can do. The human ships scattered like leaves in the wind. They moved faster than seemed possible, their pilots pushing the engines beyond safe limits. The Bracken gunners tried to track them, but human reflexes were something they had never faced before. Millions of years of evolution on a world that wanted to kill them had given humans something precious. Speed, instinct, the ability to react in fractions of seconds. The Iron Wake fired first. Its weapons, designed on a world where humans hunted creatures 10 times their size, punched through Bracken armor like paper. The first warship exploded in a ball of fire. The Dawnhammer swooped under the second ship and tore its engines apart. The vessel spun out of control, dead in space. The remaining 2 Bracken ships tried to retreat. The Horizon cut them off, driving them back toward their fleet. On the Bracken command ship, Krath was no longer laughing. What are these creatures? He demanded. His tactical officers stared at the screens in disbelief. Their reaction times. Their weapons, Warlord, nothing in our records matches this. They are from Earth, another officer whispered. The fear in his voice was clear. The Death World, the world that kills everything? Krath slammed his fist on his throne. I do not care where they are from. All ships, full attack, destroy them. The entire Bracken fleet surged forward. Far below, Sergeant Choi Tae led his dropship toward the surface of Velnus 4. The ground team watched the space battle through the windows. But they had their own mission. The dropship landed outside the main Luri settlement. Tay was first out, his boots hitting the soft ground. The gravity here was weak, almost nothing compared to Earth. He felt like he could jump over buildings. The colony was beautiful, delicate towers of crystal and light, gardens filled with glowing flowers. And everywhere the Luri staring at him with huge, terrified eyes. They had never seen a human before. To them, Tay must have looked like a nightmare. He was massive. His footsteps shook the ground. His voice, even when he whispered, was louder than their screams. Elder Sora stepped forward. Her small body trembled, but she stood between Tay and her people. Are you here to help us?" Her voice was barely audible. "Or are you another enemy?" Tay slowly lowered himself to one knee. He made himself as small as he could. When he spoke, he used the softest voice possible. "We heard your call, Elder. We came to protect you." Sora stared at him. This giant creature kneeling before her, his eyes were strange, but not cruel. She saw something in them that she did not expect. Kindness. A small Luri child broke away from the crowd. She was crying, her glow flickering with fear. She ran toward Tay, then stopped, unsure. Tay slowly extended his hand. It was huge compared to her tiny body. Rough and scarred from years of combat, the child looked at his hand. Then she reached out and touched it with her delicate fingers. "It is warm," she said, surprised. Tay smiled gently. "We are all warm, little one, and we are here to keep you safe." The child took his hand, her glow steadied. Her tears stopped. Around them, the other Luri watched. Some still trembled. But something had changed. The monsters from the Deathworld were not here to hurt them. They were here to shield them. Above, the space battle raged. The Bracken attacked with everything they had. The three human ships twisted and dodged and fought back with desperate fury. It was only the beginning. The Iron Wake was dying. Captain Lee Sung gripped his command chair as another explosion rocked the ship. Fires burned through the corridors. The hull was torn open in a dozen places. Half his crew was already gone, but Sung was smiling. "Captain!" his navigator shouted. "We cannot survive another hit. We must retreat." Sung looked at the tactical display. The horizon was surrounded by 5 Bracken ships. If those ships broke through, they would reach the planet. They would reach the Luri. "No retreat," Sung said. "Set collision course for the Bracken carrier." The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what he was asking. "Sir," his weapons officer said quietly. "It has been an honor. The honor is mine." Sung opened a channel to the horizon. "June, get our people out of here. Finish the mission." June's voice came back, rough with emotion. "Sung, no time for goodbyes, old friend. Just promise me." "Save them, I promise." Sung closed the channel. He looked at his crew one last time. These brave humans who had followed him into impossible odds. They deserved better. They deserved to go home, but some missions were more important than going home. "All power to engines," Sung ordered. Ramming speed. The Iron Wake surged forward. The Bracken carrier tried to turn, but it was too slow. Too heavy. The human ship struck it like a fist from an angry god. The explosion lit up the sky above Verlaine as -4. Below. Sergeant Troy Tay saw the flash. He knew what it meant. Another ship gone. More friends dead. He did not have time to grieve. Bracken landing craft were falling from the sky like metal rain. The enemy had decided that if they could not win in space, they would win on the ground. 500 warriors against 30 humans. Tay gathered his team around the central bunker where the Luri, civilians huddled together. Their glowing bodies flickered with fear. Their soft cries filled the air. "Form the circle," Tay ordered. "Nobody gets through." The humans spread out, creating a living wall around the bunker. They checked their weapons. They steadied their breathing. They waited. Dr. Yoon Mina was inside the bunker with Elder Sora. The Luri were panicking, their sensitive ears tortured by the sounds of battle. Mena did the only thing she could think of. She began to sing. It was an old Earth song, a lullaby her mother had sung to her when she was small. The words meant nothing to the Luri, but the melody was soft and gentle. Slowly, the nearest Luri stopped crying. They listened. The music seemed to wrap around them like a blanket. Sora looked at Mina with wonder. How can you be so calm? Mina kept singing, but her eyes were wet with tears she refused to let fall. She was not calm? She was terrified. But the Luri needed her to be strong. Outside, the Bracken attacked. They came in waves, their weapons blazing. They were tall, scaled, and vicious. Each one was a trained killer who had spent their life preparing for war, but they had never fought. Deathworlders. Tay met the first wave head-on. A Bracken soldier swung a blade at his chest. Tay caught the blade with his bare hand. Blood ran down his arm, but he did not flinch. He crushed the blade and threw the soldier aside. Is that all you have? He roared. The Bracken hesitated. This human should be screaming in pain. He should be falling. Instead, he was still standing, still fighting, still laughing. Private Noyuri held the eastern side of the line. She was small and fast, dancing between the larger soldiers. A Bracken grenade landed near a group of Luri children who had wandered too close to the door. Yuri did not think. She jumped. Her body covered the grenade. The explosion lifted her into the air and threw her across the ground. Her armor was shattered. Her back was burned. But when she opened her eyes, the children were safe. She pulled herself up. Her legs screamed in protest. Her vision blurred with pain, but she stood. Get back inside, she told the children, her voice barely a whisper. I will protect you. The children ran to safety. Yuri turned to face the next wave of enemies. Blood dripped from her wounds. She could barely lift her weapon, but she did not fall. The Bracken soldiers stared at her. This tiny human, broken and bleeding, still refusing to die. Still blocking their path. For the first time in their lives, the Bracken warriors felt fear. The battle raged for hours. The humans took wound after wound, injuries that would have killed any other species. But they kept fighting. They kept standing. They kept protecting. On his command ship, Warlord Krath watched the ground battle through remote cameras. He saw his best soldiers fall to creatures that would not stay down. He saw humans use their own bodies as shields for weak aliens they had never met. What are they? He whispered. His advisor shook his head. They are Deathworlders, my lord. They evolved on a world of endless death. They are built to survive. They are built to endure. But why fight for the Luri? They gain nothing. The advisor had no answer. The Bracken fought for power, for territory, for slaves. They could not understand a species that fought for nothing but the safety of strangers. On the ground, Tay finally fell. A Bracken blade had found his side, slipping between his armor plates. The wound was deep. He could feel his strength draining away, but even as he fell, he grabbed the soldier who had stabbed him and broke his neck. Sergeant! Yuri screamed. She limped toward him, firing at enemies with one hand. Keep fighting, Tay said, his voice growing weak. Do not let them through. The humans closed ranks over their fallen leader. They stood like mountains. They bled like rivers. But they did not break, and above them the Dawn Hammer made its final move. Commander Baek-yoon knew her ship was almost finished. The Dawn Hammer had taken too many hits. Half her systems were dead. Her crew was wounded and exhausted, but Warlord Krath's flagship was right in front of her. All remaining power to forward thrust, she ordered. Target their engines. Her pilot looked at her. Commander, at this speed we will not be able to pull away in time. Yoon smiled. It was a tired smile, but a real one. I know. Do it anyway. The Dawn Hammer accelerated. Krath's flagship tried to move, but it was too large, too slow. The human ship struck its engines with devastating force. Both ships shuddered. Metal screamed. Explosions bloomed like flowers of fire, but Yoon was still alive. Barely, she crawled to the communication panel, blood dripping from a wound on her forehead. She opened all channels, broadcasting to every ship, every station, every being who could hear. This is Commander Baek-yoon of the Earth Defense Fleet. The Bracken flagship is crippled. Their fleet is broken. Any Bracken ship that wishes to leave may do so. Any that stays will be destroyed. She paused, catching her breath. Humanity protects. Remember that. The remaining Bracken ships looked at their burning flagship. They looked at the two human vessels still fighting, still refusing to die. They looked at the surface of Velnus 4, where 30 humans had held off 500 of their best warriors, and they ran, one by one. The Bracken warships turned and fled into hyperspace. They left their warlord behind. They left their dead behind. They ran from the Deathworlders and did not look back. On the ground, the Bracken soldiers saw their fleet retreat. Their will shattered. They threw down their weapons and surrendered. Sergeant Choi Tae lay on the ground, his blood soaking into the soft earth of Velnus 4. Dr. Yoon Mina rushed to his side, her medical kit already open. "Stay with me, Tae," she said, her hands working quickly. "You do not get to die?" "Not today." Tae looked up at her. His vision was fading. Did we do it?" Mina nodded, tears streaming down her face. "We did it. They are safe. All of them." Tae smiled. It was the first time anyone had seen him smile. Then his eyes closed, but his heart kept beating. Dr. Mina would not let it stop. The bunker doors opened. Elder Sora stepped out, followed by thousands of Luri. They emerged into the light of their twin suns. Blinking at the battlefield around them, they saw the Bracken soldiers on their knees. Defeated. They saw the human warriors broken and bleeding. Still standing guard, they saw the burning wrecks of warships in the sky, and the two human vessels that still flew among them, a Luri child. The same one who had taken Tae's hand walked across the battlefield. She found Private No Yuri sitting against a wall, too injured to move. Without a word, the child sat down beside her and took her hand. Yuri looked at the small glowing creature. "Are you okay?" The child nodded. "You saved us. That is what we do. Why?" Yuri thought about it. Why had they come? Why had they fought? Why had so many of them died for strangers from another world? "Because you needed help," she finally said. "And we could help. That is enough." The child leaned against her shoulder, careful not to press on her wounds. "You are warm," she said again. "Yes," Yuri whispered. "We are." Captain Park Jun landed on the surface an hour later. The Horizon was damaged but still flying. They had one, but the cost had been terrible. Captain Lee Seung was dead. Dozens of soldiers were wounded. The Iron Wake was gone forever, but 12,000 Luri were alive. Elder Sora walked toward Jun. She moved slowly, her old legs trembling. When she reached him, she looked up at his face. He was so tall, so strange, so terrifying, and so full of kindness. "Why?" she asked. "The Coalition did not order you to come. You gained nothing from this. You lost friends. You lost ships. Why did you do this?" Jun looked at the Luri around him, at the children holding hands with wounded soldiers, at the families weeping with relief, at the impossible, beautiful beings they had traveled across the galaxy to save. "Because you called for help," he said simply, "and we heard you." Sora's glow brightened. She reached up and touched Jun's hand with her tiny fingers. "The galaxy calls you monsters," she said. "They are wrong. You are guardians." 1 week later, the Galactic Coalition sent a formal inquiry. They demanded to know why humans had acted without authorization. They threatened consequences. Captain Jun recorded his response. It was broadcast to every corner of Coalition space. The strong protect the weak. This is the law of Earth. If the Coalition cannot understand that, then perhaps the Coalition should learn. The message spread across 1,000 worlds. Species that had always been ignored, always been afraid, always been alone, heard it and felt hope. The Luri built a monument on Velnus 4. It stood in the center of their colony, where everyone could see it. The statue was carved from crystal and light. It showed a human soldier kneeling, one massive hand extended gently toward a small Luri child. The inscription at the base was written in 100 different languages. They came from a world that tried to kill them, and they used that strength to save us. Other species began sending messages, calls for help. Pleas for protection. Signals thrown into the void with desperate hope, and the humans answered, every time. Sergeant Tay recovered. Private Yuri walked again. Commander Yoon was rescued from her shattered ship. They returned to duty. They returned to the edge of space, where the helpless cried out and no one else would listen, because that was what Deathworlders did. They heard the call of the weak, and they rose to shield them. Always.